Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road. There is a tractor just cutting the pitch behind me, so hopefully you can hear me, but if not, I can come a little bit closer. I don't want to be too eerily close. So Norwich City have won here again this afternoon. They've beaten Millwall by 3-1. A real quality performance, a real dominant performance. There goes the tractor, look, just behind me. So hopefully it's not too loud and you can hear me. I'm sure you'll all shout at me if you can't. But yes, Norwich were for large periods of this game very dominant, very composed, had real quality and real energy going forwards, real intensity, and they ran out deserved winners in the end. Goals courtesy of Josh Sargent, Ashley Barnes, and a brilliant first one by John Rowe in particular means that Norwich continue their unbeaten start. It's now 4 competitive games this season, three wins and 1 draw. Obviously, I'm counting the cup game against QPR in the league. That's obviously 3 games, 7 points from 9. Could have easily have been 9 from 9 as well, had a penalty decision not gone against them last week at Southampton. But I think, and I've said this a few times before I maybe dissect the specifics of the performance, it's such a transformation what this Norwich team is doing at the moment and how they're playing. I think back to, really what was 3-4 league games ago here, where this place was vicious, it was toxic, it was nasty, there were chants against the hierarchy, it wasn't a particularly nice place to enjoy football, the performances were meek, they were really disappointing, everything felt kind of broken and fractured, and you compare that with where Norwich City are at the moment, and look, we're 3 games in, and I don't think anyone's making any assumptions about what this season could or will or won't be. But I think everyone can appreciate that coming here is fun again, and it puts smiles on people's faces again. And I think you have to give credit to the work that David Wagner and his team have done, absolutely, but also that has gone on behind the scenes to ensure there is more communication and more understanding of what the team wants to do. And listen, the best communication strategy in the world, as everyone at the football club knows, is to win games. And when you're winning games, you can kind of get away. It's kind of a get out of jail free card, but it's not just the results at the moment, it's the performances, it's the way that they're playing, the way that they are competing, the identity that they're playing with. They look a much improved side, a vastly improved side to the one that we saw towards the back end of last season. And again, it's really hard relatively to say what that means at this moment in time, standing here without knowledge of what's to come in the future and what may be down the track. But here right now, if this team can continue what they're producing, it's very difficult not to kind of place them in the upper portion of the table. Again, I'm not really kind of sure what that looks like. There are issues that we will unpick, and it's been an imperfect start to the season by all means. But given where the club was in the summer and how the mood was heading into the season, this start has just been what the doctor ordered and been what everyone has needed. There's been some real repair and real signs of positivity in this place, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be here for the last 2 home games. Everyone recognises there's lots more work to do, but purely on an emotive level, to come to Carrow Road, enjoy what you're witnessing from a team that's producing excellent football, results as well to back it up, I think is incredibly promising and a real bonus on where we were from last season. So I just wanted to say that off the bat. This was a really commanding Norwich City performance, a really assured Norwich City performance. Millwall missed out on the playoffs on the final day last season, so this felt like a really good benchmark of their progress, as what last week at Southampton was as well. To be fair, I'm not as hot on Millwall as I think I was last year in what was a weaker division as a general rule of thumb, but for every ounce of that Norwich City were good today, they were lacklustre and poor. Really, it was like a hot potato when they had the ball in possession. They couldn't live with Norwich City's energy, with their multiple attacking threats, with the variation that they have in attack. They couldn't live with Norwich City's counter press, particularly in the first half, which was so good. And they got completely dominated, barring a final 10-minute spell, which we'll come on to. But that said, there are 2 teams in every game. For as poor as Millwall were, Norwich were excellent. Some of the combinations that they did, their energy and desire off the ball to go and press and counter press and backward press as well, as David Wagner describes it, and I like that term, so I'm going to nick it. But they are all aspects of the game. There's a real underlying desire but structure to them, and that's been really impressive. And large portions of this game, Angus Gunn didn't have a save to make, to be completely honest. There was one that I remember where it might have been Fleming, possibly, dragged a shot straight at him, but they protect their goal really well. There's one block from Ben Gibson in the first half that was absolutely terrific. So they do that side of the game well, and they limit his hold to very little here as well. Last weekend was last weekend. It was chaos. But then also they're so quick in transition when they win the ball and they go and try and create opportunities. They flood forward. They have players who are really, really effective in this system. And what I like about what they're doing at the moment is it's not individualistic. We're not looking at one player creating brilliant moments. Of course we are with John Rowe, and we'll come back to him. Gabriel Sara maybe. But as a collective, they're functioning really, really well. There's so much excitement in this Norwich City starting 11. There is so much variation and difference and quality about the different facets of the game. You've got defenders there who want to defend. You've got midfielders there who facilitate so well. And you've got wingers and strikers who cause real problems, not just through chance creation and movement in the box, but you've got someone like Ashley Barnes who is like a one-man brick wall, essentially, and you play it off him, and somehow he just kind of makes it, them like things you used to have as a kid where you threw the ball on, it just kind of sticks to them. He's capable of doing that, and he can be a bit of a blunt force, but he's also so clever technically and in terms of his movement and what he brings to the team. And as a collective, in the style that Wagner wants to play, this starting 11, and I'm limiting it to that at this moment in time, is performing really, really well at a really high level. 3 games in, admittedly, but that's where we are and where Norwich are at this moment in time. You have to assess what you've seen. And last year, anyone who's watched these verdicts over a long period of time, they were winning games under Dean Smith, and I was stood here going, the performances aren't very good. And I'd be saying the same if they weren't winning games as well. The performances behind the substance behind the results, which I think long term is the best indicator of how a team's going to do. That's the bit that is exciting for me. Is the level of performances the level of performance that they've hit over the past 3 games. Of course, there have been dips and spells within those games that maybe haven't gone in the way that they would like. But as a general rule of thumb, I think David Wagner will be very, very pleased with the output that he's got so far from this group of players. And as I said, in each facet of the game, they seem to have a structure and a plan that is pretty good. So that's good to see as well. And we can obviously name the key players involved within that. And again, with this Norwich team, if a team gives them possession, they're happy with that. They're comfortable. They can create chances. They'll go, okay, you sit in. But we've got the quality in fullback areas where Jack Stacey can do a decoy run, or he can overlap at a really crucial time. We'll create overloads. We'll get crosses into the box, knowing that they've got Sargent, Barnes, John Rowe, who seems to be able to head a ball. Who knew? And Christian Fashnak, Gabriel Sara, Kenny McLean. Fine. If you want to do that for 90 minutes, we believe we have the quality to go and break you down. And then if a team wants to have the ball and they want to come onto them, they're happy to sit and they'll play in transition. And it's this adaptability that I think is really exciting for Norwich City. At the moment, they're capable of doing. They're a multifaceted team. They're capable of adapting to situations. And what we saw last year with Norwich is, if they conceded a goal, if there was a moment, even a goal necessarily, the performance levels would spike. The fact that they've added this obviously layer of mentality, which I know has been spoken about a lot, but they're doing a lot of different stuff in and around what they're doing as well. The build-up's slightly different. They can transition. They can go and counter teams. They can move the ball pretty well because they've got a player like Gabriel Sara who is a cheat code at this level really, and is getting to the levels of being indispensable for them. To be brutally honest, created so many chances again today, and they have quality to mix and match it. They can go long if they need to with Ashley Barnes. They can play short if they need to as well. That, for me, is a sign that this is a team who are really capable, and hopefully that translates over 46 games. So that's positive. The goals individually, and again, I think the goals sum it up. Look at John Rowe's goal, which is excellent combination play on the edge of the penalty area, one side of the game. Then they'll go and score from a set piece. Completely different side of the game to what you'd expect from a team capable of doing that. And they've done it. Even Ashley Barnes' goal came from a crossing opportunity. So 3 different types of goals, but 3 really, really good goals. And the first one in particular is so well crafted. It came from a really prolonged spell of possession. There was a ball into John Rowe broke the line. Essentially, Yanulis found him. He surged forward. Then it was into Sarah, into Barnes, who held it up so nicely, played it back to John Rowe, who curled the ball beautifully into the corner of the net. The second goal, as we said, came from a set piece. Josh Sargent does so well to almost get in front of and remove the blocker from Millwall's situation in their set piece setup. The ball then gets put into an area by Gabriel Sarah. Josh Sargent gets there ahead of Sarkic, who I'm not really sure what he's attempting to do, if I'm completely honest. Goes in off both posts, and then the final goal as well. Really well worked move down the right hand side where Norwich were dangerous a lot of the afternoon. Stacey whips a low ball in, it gets cleared, and Ashley Barnes on the swivel, on the turn, nets what was his 100th league goal in 500 appearances. 3 really different goals, 3 really good goals, and then they concede one late on. Andrew Bamadelli mistimes a header. There's a couple of positional issues as well. Jack Stacey's too high up the pitch. Shane Duffy's probably too deep, and there's not really a natural balance in terms of their shape, if that makes complete sense. And the young lad, who name I know but I won't butcher, galloped through, and it's a really good finish. Nothing more than a consolation at that point, though. John Rowe, 4 in 4 for him. He is looking pretty special, and actually I think what's as much of a testament to him as the goal and me heaping loads of praise on him is actually what we saw in the opening 2 minutes, which is Danny McNamara. He got the ball, first touch, straight through him. It's that classic kind of leave a mark on him, isn't it? You hear it all the time at grassroots level. But that's what you're going to see increasingly. Teams try and remove him out of the game using dark forces, I guess, and that is as much of a compliment to him as much as we praise him for 4 goals in 4. But again, I thought his all-round game was terrific. And this is my point. What Norwich have now in terms of their attacking stable, I guess, of players, and this is before you drop Borja Sainz in, is a real quality 4 capable of scoring goals in lots of different ways. And he looks really, really exciting at the moment. And long may it continue that he rides this wave that he's on. But the form is tremendous, and he's had to wait a long time. He's had injuries and whatnot, so this is all really pleasing. I think it's probably what most people expected him to do, because that quality has been there now for a prolonged period in the academy. So that's really good to see. Ashley Barnes, I think, has been quietly very, very good since he came in. And yes, it's all of the mental attributes, the mentality and the intangibles that people speak about, but actually he's offering Norwich City a lot from a footballing perspective as well, because he creates space for other people really nicely. He links play really well, which when you're a team that wants to play in transition, you need someone to get you up the pitch. He gets Norwich up the pitch, and that was really positive as well. Josh Sargent looking more and more impressive. We mentioned the midfield. I thought Ben Gibson had a pretty good game, apart from one rogue pass that went wrong from a goal kick, although that came from probably a lack of passing options more than anything else. The one concern I have at the moment, and I think it's only right to balance it off and mention this, is the last 10 minutes from Norwich, maybe even 15. I thought, and this again has been a theme, I saw it against Hull, I saw it again at Southampton, I mentioned it I think in the verdict that I did, saw it again today. There has been a little dip in performances. Once the substitutions have come, once the game has kind of worn on a little bit and there's been some moments, there is a dip when they begin to change out members of that starting 11, or that cohort of the starting 11. I think we saw that again today. And that maybe points to squad depth, which again, throughout a 46 championship game season, I think you would have concerns about. And which is why injuries and fitness and the luck of that, I guess, the roulette that Norwich are on, dictates maybe how successful they will be this year. But if they can iron that out and ride that out, and look, there's a lot of players who obviously are coming on to games. Tony Springer, who had a fitness issue in midweek. Andrew Bamadelli still doesn't look up to speed for me. There are players coming into games who maybe aren't quite as far as people in front of them. And also maybe aren't as suited to what Norwich City are doing than the people that they're replacing. So it's not a comment about the individual players coming onto the pitch, it's the collective thing. I just don't think Norwich are functioning in the same way for the latter stages of games. They dropped really deep against Southampton last week, dropped too deep too early for me. That almost allowed Southampton to win the game. Hull as well, we saw it from about 75 to 90. I know that obviously they scored a late winner for Adam Eder, but their performance notably dipped in that sort of last portion of the game. That was the case again today. They gave away a flurry of corners. It was just really sloppy, I think. And if I'm David Wagner, if I'm Narcis Pelash, and I know that David Wagner used an expression in the a German phrase apparently, which translates to English basically as not looking for the hair in the soup. And maybe there is an element of that, but just in the back of my mind, it feels like something to monitor throughout the season. But it should not take the shine off what has been a fantastic win and a fantastic day at Carrow Road. Brilliant goals. Obviously, gutted the Lionesses haven't been able to win. Not a good day for Lions all round, really, with Millwall's defeat. But a great day at Carrow Road, and the sun has shined throughout, which is really good. And we head to Huddersfield next week. Another opportunity for Norwich City to get points. Likewise against Rotherham the week after, before that international break. If they can head into that international break with a serious amount of points on the board, then I think the optimism that everyone is feeling at the moment will only increase. And that, after where we were last season, is really, really positive. Thank you very much for watching. Of course, plenty more reaction over at pinkun.com. I've probably missed something, so let me know in the comments what I've missed and what you thought of the game as well. I haven't pushed my glasses up, I don't think, so that's good. And we will see you again next week. Thanks for watching.